y'all. I am popping on here. Good morning, good morning. I'm popping on early, unannounced, because, that's how I roll. Just to do my little live. Got a busy day. So I just wanted to say hello and get going on my live for you all today. Excuse me while I just get my notes and everything in order here. Hope everyone's doing well. Today I want to continue the conversation that I started earlier in the week about being present. So I don't know if any of you saw that. Just a little short video I did about being present, right? And how that's super helpful. And today I want to connect how being present can help you consciously create change, right? It's one of those skills. So I kind of want to sort of go through that and talk you through that whole process. So let's get going. So as I mentioned the other day, I did a little short reel on being present. So I talked about, how we can approach things if we approach them with preconceived expectations or judgments, and how someone else will react, right? So we go in just sort of going, oh, I know this is going to happen, and this is how it's going to be, this is how they've always acted. And when we arrive with those expectations, good or bad, because even good expectations can be a challenge, we set ourselves up for disappointment, frustration, anger, and it creates kind of this self-fulfilling prophecy of, I knew it, see, I was right, no matter how hard I try, things always go badly, or they always end up the same way, nothing ever changes. And what I'm here to tell you today is that if you can take a good hard look at your thoughts, your expectations and prejudgments, you might find that that's what's keeping you in these situations, keeping them exactly as they have always been. Just sort of repeating that cycle over and over. It's an unconscious way that we have of self-sabotaging to prevent change, because let's face it, change is scary. It screams not safe to our subconscious because we can't protect ourselves from something we don't know, right? So if we don't know what's going to happen, how can we be prepared and save ourselves? So it's a survival technique. It's really all it is. And it's being aware of it is how we can help ourselves move past that. So not only does it prevent the change, it's actually not being present. And this is the interesting thing, is we think if we are preparing for this interaction of whatever sort, that we're being present, like we're totally showing up. But that's actually not the truth. What's actually happening there is you have created a scenario in your head based on past experiences. And so now you are technically living in the past, not in the present, not in what actually is happening, and you're not allowing it to happen. On the flip side, actually being present means being open and curious to the possibilities, which is so exciting and fun. It means clearing your heart and your mind of all those preconceived judgments and past experiences. Being present is allowing. It's allowing others to show up as they are. It's allowing yourself to experience and not react because of past experiences. So here's some examples of how I went from not being present to being present. Two very different examples. So one was with my sister. My sister and I, over the years, have had a decent relationship, but challenging in certain ways. And I think we'd both come to the table, after we'd sort of moved away, and every time we got together, there would always be this expectation that someone would bring this thing up or someone would react this way. And we go from excited to see each other and isn't this wonderful to finally be together, to a little contentious, and sort of slip right back into those old habits. Everyone would roll their eyes, get frustrated, and it was really icky. And it just would ruin each and every time we gathered. So after I had started working on myself, doing some of this inner work, I decided to try not showing up that way, to not bring up the things that were triggering for her or for us, and to try to just, that's in the past, and let's just see how we can react now as we are, as the adults we are today. And it started to shift because I started to show up a little differently. my sister was able to, put her guard down a little bit. And then when she put her guard down a little bit, I was able to put my guard down a little bit more. And then she could put hers a little more. And before you knew it, we were actually having conversations, talking about these things, going, yeah, that always hurt my feelings, or this is why I said that. And we learned so much about each other. It really, truly opened up our relationship. And now we are just best of friends. And I feel so grateful for that. But it did take one of us to start that process, right? It could have been her, but it just happened to have been me. And luckily she came along. So that was a really big example of how being present can start to consciously create change. Now, not every scenario about being present is wrapped up in familial relationship dynamics. Change can come in, and being present can come in many different forms. So here's a much lighter example of how I went from not being present to being present. So when I first, my husband and I moved into our house. We have a very old house. It's over 300 years old. It needed a lot of construction. I didn't have any of those skills. My husband was in construction, so he was teaching me everything I needed to know. And when we first started painting the rooms, I was awful at painting rooms, and I didn't like it. I was like, oh my God, there's so much work. There's so much setup. It's exhausting. And I'm just not good at it. Let's just face it. It is sloppy and messy, and I would be using these sort of drywall spatula things to like hold it and then like cut in around the edge of the room, or tape off, and the tape was messy, and it would just be a holy hot mess. And my husband would laugh, and I would laugh, be like, yep, I just can't paint. Well, I decided to start coming at that from a different point of view. I started using that as a way to create change. I wanted to add color during the winter to help myself sort of through this seasonal affective disorder that I sometimes struggle with, because I am a solar-powered individual. So I decided to come at this from a place of being present and trying to enjoy it. Like this was going to be a project, I was going to step into it. And as I did that, as when I stopped thinking of it and expecting it and prejudging it to be this horrible thing, I started to actually enjoy it. And to the point where I loved painting. I got so excited. I just wanted to paint everything. I got so good. I could not only cut in freehand with my right hand, I learned how to cut in freehand with my left hand. And now painting walls has become a very zen thing for me. Painting anything, frankly, is very zen for me, because that application of color, just that process, that is creating change by adding the color. And now by me being present, stepping into that, I have allowed myself to enjoy something and find something that really brings me a lot of peace and happiness. So that's just another kind of silly, but a very effective way of how being present can consciously create change in your life. So as I did mention previously, that being in a state of being present means being in a state of observation and curiosity, because curiosity allows that universe to give you opportunities. The universe sees that you are open and curious and excited to see what's coming. The universe will give you more opportunities to experience that. And I'm gonna talk about it again, because each time I actually succeed in being fully present, like my whole body relaxes, my nerves settle, and I feel like I'm actually alive, more alive. It definitely does excite me. As much as my nerves are settling, it excites me and makes me want more, and it's a really beautiful thing. But it's hard. I do have to practice it, and I'm not, I don't succeed in every scenario, but all of this is a practice. Everything we're doing is a practice. How we show up is a continual practice for the rest of our lives. So if you're going into this thinking you're going to do a one and done, you're not. You can succeed one day, and then the next day it can be a total horrible wreck. So don't get down on yourself. So one of the things I like to do to prepare myself is I like to make almost these little ceremonies out of things, right? I want to make it a very conscious act for myself, because that way it sort of sits in my memory, and I don't just go, oh yeah, I'm going to do this and then forget, right? So it sort of ingrains it in my memory a little more. So I take a pause and I take a deep breath before I'm heading into whatever situation I want to be more present in. And I just take a couple deep breaths, and then I sort of focus on my heart chakra. I put love at the helm, right? I let love steer the ship, and to say, okay, I'm open, and I'm curious, and I'm excited to see what possibilities are awaiting me. And because I'm a natural observer, this I find great joy in it. If you are not a natural observer, if you're a natural reactor, this could take a little more practice. And there are some other things you can do to sort of amplify that. But it will transform your life if you can start practicing this skill of being present, being able to sit and listen. And listen to hear and learn, and not to respond or defend, right? Because many of us listen to respond. That's not what we're doing. If you're in a state of observation, you're just taking it in. Oh, okay. Interesting. To be curious about where the other person might be coming from, or move yourself from that story, you're going to get much more out of it. It's actually like reading a good book or watching an amazing movie. You get immersed in it without being adversely affected or triggered by it. So, just to once again reiterate, how does being present help you consciously create change? Excellent question. I think we've answered it. Because by purposefully, consciously setting the stage to be open and curious, you're taking control of the narrative. You are building your awareness of yourself and others, and you're choosing to experience a different way of showing up and a different way of doing things. And that is a powerful practice which will yield amazing, amazing results. I promise you. Give it a try and see how it feels. So I hope this was enlightening. I hope I was able to take my short reel and sort of give you a little more depth to it and a little more understanding. So I want you to start practicing this and let me know how it goes. Have a great day.